jobs. You know, the thing every kid gets asked about.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be... Hey, I never thought of that. I want to be a lawyer.
Lawyer.
Pilot. Pilot. And a dad. A pilot racer dad. I want to be an artist that goes around painting walls. I want to be a doctor. Doctor. A mermaid. A mermaid doctor.
Ooh, a mermaid doctor. I mean, sure, everyone wants to be a mermaid doctor until, that is, you have to do your first mermaid colonoscopy. Two things you should know about a mermaid's arsehole, kid, and you may as well learn them now. One, no matter where you're picturing it, that's not where it is. And two, no one comes out the same person they went in. A part of you dies in there, and you'll spend the rest of your life trying to get it back. Anyway, jobs were a major theme in Donald Trump's presidential campaign, along with, of course, walls, taco bowls, allegations of sexual assault, and admissions of sexual assault. But Trump's primary focus as candidate and president has been on jobs, specifically who was stealing them.
Whether it's China or Japan or Mexico, they're all taking our jobs.
Now Vietnam, that's the new one. They are taking our jobs.
The jobs are being taken by India.
Our jobs were stolen away and shipped far away to other countries, some of which you've never even heard of.
Yes, our jobs are being stolen by countries you've never even heard of, although try and remember that this is coming from the man who reportedly referred to Nepal and Bhutan as nipple and button. So, for Trump, countries you've never heard of could just mean bulgy areola, Bob's anus, boring, urethra, Honda rice, ankle, fat hamster, fence, Jeremy, bikini fatso, La Sofa, balls in ya and hate a vagina, gay water, butt swallow, licking time, Pocahontas, Laux and Blanche, hot girl with jizz in her hair, my wife, my taco, grenade, the one that sounds like a butt, bad Asia, Slim Shady, queso bowl, fuck that, daddy fat hamster, lice, lesbian, Russia, Macarena, Vaglands, Pooland, Pamela, Marinara, Seagull, Pillow, Russia, Jared's friends, Santa Kids and Norbit, more titties, guitar, pair of gays, samosas, toga, to go, feeling peens, the medium gross lettuce, you're a gay, Zumba, Xanadu, Magnolia, and Hotel for Dogs. No, wait, the one that's not for dogs, Hotel that one. Basically, Trump's philosophy is, the world never heard of it, but it's stealing your jobs. And look, some manufacturing jobs are gone because they went overseas. But Trump is completely ignoring another major factor behind job losses, automation. Its impact has been massive. You wouldn't know it from how Trump talks, but our manufacturing sector now produces twice as much as it did in 1984, but we produce it with 1/3 fewer workers. The point is, many of those jobs aren't being stolen, they are disappearing because machines are now doing them. And thanks to advances in AI and robotics, there are concerns that this sort of job loss could accelerate. In fact, a few years back, some people got very concerned when an Oxford University study came out with a startling number.
An Oxford University study says that up to half of all jobs in the U.S. are at risk to automation.
A new study which suggests many of us may lose our jobs because of robots.
A robot is probably going to take your job. That's according to a new Oxford University study.
That's close to 50% of the workforce being completely eliminated, as in no more jobs for them.
Wow, 50% of all our jobs will be gone. That is terrifying. For you. Luckily, a robot could never be a late-night host. It'd make basic mistakes, like, say, devoting 90 seconds of airtime to a list of dumb names Trump might have for other countries. How weird would that be? It's called pacing robots. Look it up. You don't do a massive list of names before you've introduced the thesis of your piece. Anyway, the thesis of this piece is that while people often talk about automation in apocalyptic terms, the truth is everything about it is more complicated than you think, including that half your jobs will be gone Oxford study. So tonight, let's talk about automation. And let's begin with the fact that while it's often presented as a scary new problem, it's neither entirely scary nor entirely new. From the Industrial Revolution through the rise of mass production, automation has transformed our society in ways people have marvelled at, sometimes in less than ideal language.
Power and the highly important standardization of parts and mass production with its assembly lines have created more mechanical slaves for man. Mechanical slaves in the machine tool industry. Created by man to create more mechanical slaves, the average man in the United States today is said to have at his beck and call 20 mechanical slaves.
Slaves, 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 oh, how I have missed them. Yes, mechanical slaves. If you close your eyes, you can forget that they're mechanical. And look, there is no doubt, mechanical slaves, or machines, as a normal person might describe them, have had hugely beneficial effects. They've made goods cheaper and jobs easier and sometimes safer. Take this man. He runs a logging company and he's developing machines to fell trees, which would put his own son out of a job. But he's doing it for a pretty compelling reason.
If you have a man on a chainsaw falling trees, they're eventually going to get hurt.
Logging has the highest death rate of any American occupation. For its size, logging kills people at a higher rate than the military.
I've come to the belief that the only way I can ensure the safety of my people is not have them there. The best way not to kill a hand cutter is not have one.
He's right. The best way not to kill a hand cutter is not to have one, which presumably means the best way to kill a hand cutter is to have one. So if you are trying to murder a lumberjack, it's probably best just to hire him and wait. Also, don't do it. Don't do it. But if you really want to, that would be how to go about it, which you shouldn't. You absolutely shouldn't, despite the fact I've just given you a perfect blueprint for how to get away with it. But again, I want to make this absolutely clear. Nobody out there should murder a lumberjack. You should just wait for them to die in an accident. It's the perfect crime. But the truth is, from employers' point of view, the big selling point for automation is that it increases productivity and it maximises profits. And for displaced workers, that has caused immense pain throughout history. And not just in factories. For instance, in the 90s, as voice recognition technology improved, phone company operators were rightly worried for their jobs.
My first thought was, uh-oh, here comes trouble. This is going to get my job for sure.
The first thing I thought about is that this is going to be a robot. They're not going to need as many operators. I'm about to lose my job.
I talked to some friends of mine back where I came from Shreveport in the office, and the rumors were running rampant over there. You know, like, oh my gosh, they're testing this machine and it's going to do away with our job, and they're shutting, you know, we heard y'all, they were shutting down y'all's office and going completely to machines.
OK, first of all, and I know this isn't the point here, but what the fuck is going on in Shreveport? Lisa Lee here is your friend, and you're all, hey, Lisa, you're going to get fired. Fuck you, Shreveport. Girl, you deserve friends who lift you up, not tear you down. Take a step back and remember how far you've come. You don't need Shreveport. Shreveport needs you. Now, you pick yourself up and you show the world what Lisa Lee is really made of. You go, girl! You go! But when you see this story through the eyes of worried employees, you can understand the deep-seated human urge that many of us have to see robots come to harm. Whether we're joyously retweeting this photo captioned, "Our DC office building got a security robot, it drowned itself," or just attacking any robot foolish enough to trust us.
The idea was to see how people would interact with a talking, solar-powered robot as it hitched across America on its own, tracked by a GPS. On Saturday, the robot was found in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, resting in pieces. Late today, video surfaced of the attack, but the robot's creators are not out for revenge.
I'm sure it could have happened anywhere. We don't really think it has anything to do with Philadelphia.
You're wrong about that. It has absolutely everything to do with Philadelphia. This is a city with a chronic police horse punching problem. Sending a hitchhiking robot into Philadelphia is not unlike sending a beautiful bell symbolising freedom into Philadelphia. There is no way it's going to remain in one piece, and there's a non-zero chance that someone is going to try and fuck it. So, at this point, you may be thinking, well, whatever its advantages, automation throws a lot of people out of work, right? Well, yes, but again, it is complicated, and the picture often gets distorted. Remember that report from earlier, the one that led to claims that half of our jobs were going away? There are real concerns about its methodology, and other studies have come up with much lower numbers. But even more importantly, it didn't claim half of jobs would be gone. It suggested some jobs were in the high-risk category for being automated, and that is actually a very different thing, because a job automated is not necessarily a job lost. Frequently, machines don't replace jobs so much as tasks. A good example of this concerns ATMs. It is hard to imagine a time now that they weren't around. But when they became common in the 1980s, bank tellers were afraid of them stealing their jobs. Of course, customers were sometimes afraid of them for very different reasons.
Does it hurt?
Yeah, it hurts.
Ignoring the old adage, never bite the hand that feeds you, the Bank of America Versateller did just that. Snapped onto Paul's hand while he was trying to transact business with it.
I thought if I reach in there, I could pull one of those envelopes out, go ahead and make the deposit, and go on to work. I'm trying to get to work.
That man died. None of that. That's ridiculous. No, he died 2 years later when he got stuck inside a claw machine. That's a fact. That's a fact. What is that fact based on? Nothing other than my total conviction that it's true. But while ATMs did eat the occasional customer, fears of job losses turned out to be completely overblown because bank teller employment actually increased over the next 30 years. What happened was ATMs took over the job of dispensing cash and tellers were then freed up to do sales or other work. Their jobs didn't go, they changed. And when automation does lead to job loss in certain sectors, historically, it's also actually created jobs, as this economist from MIT explains.
Let's do the following thought exercise. It's the year 1900, and 40% of all employment is in agriculture, right? And so some twerpy economist from MIT teleports back in time and says, 100 years from now, only 2% of people will be working in agriculture. What do you think the other 38% of people are going to do?
Well, I wouldn't know.
We say, oh, search engine optimization, health and wellness, software and mobile devices. Most of what we do barely existed.
Exactly. That twerpy economist is right. 50 years from now, people will be doing jobs that we can't imagine right now, like crypto baker, or snail rehydrator, or investment harpist. I don't know. The point is, you can't imagine them. So we get rid of some jobs, but we get new ones. So that's even Stephen, right? Well, not necessarily, because the new jobs automation creates won't necessarily pay the same as the ones it takes away. And it might not be easy for displaced workers to transition into them. For instance, right now, our economy is creating lots of jobs in the tech sector. At the same time, we have 3.5 million truckers possibly facing unemployment due to driverless technology. Now, in an ideal world, those truckers could seamlessly move into high-tech jobs. But as this man explains, it's just not that easy.
If the average age is 55, these guys are going to be computer programmers when they didn't finish high school? I doubt it.
Of course. I mean, but maybe some 55-year-old truck drivers will become web designers. But if you think all of them will, it might be worth remembering that time your father accidentally typed his Google search into Facebook and then tried to cover it up by putting whiteout on the computer. So the big question here is, how do you harness what is good about automation while minimising the damage to those hurt by it? Well, the best thing would be if America were in the hands of someone nimble and forward-thinking. And unfortunately, that brings us back to this guy. And he has not demonstrated much of a grasp on this issue. Just look what happened with a company called Carrier. You may remember, right after the election, Trump, with the aid of a massive tax break, convinced the CEO of Carrier's parent company, Greg Hayes, not to move one of their factories to Mexico. He made a big deal out of saving those jobs, and he was excited about what was coming next.
They're going to spend so much money on renovating this plant. And I said, Greg, say that number. He said 16 million. Well, the minimum number is 16. It's going to be, in my opinion, a lot more than that. He said, well, I'd rather say the lower number. See, I'd rather have him say the higher number, so I won't say it, okay? It's just a difference in philosophy. Do you agree? Both are okay, but difference in philosophy. But they're going to spend more than 16. They're going to spend a lot of money on the plant.
Yeah, it's a difference in philosophy, you see. I want to lie, he doesn't want to lie. Both are okay. I'm still going to lie to you. I'm just going to do it vaguely for Greg. This lie's for you, Greg. Greg's going to spend way more than $16 million on the plant. But here's the thing about that $16 million. It wasn't actually good news for the workers, as Greg Hayes made clear just a few days later.
We're going to make a $16 million investment in that factory in Indianapolis to automate, to drive the cost down so that we can continue to be competitive. What that ultimately means is there will be fewer jobs.
Oh, great work, Mr. President. So basically, carrier workers are still going to lose their jobs. It's just the government now helped, for some reason, pay for the robots that will replace them. That is the classic Trump deal-making that you can read all about in his best-selling book, The Art of Saying Whatever and Letting Someone Else, a different person, or, hey, maybe even a robot, deal with the consequences. Is that a good title? Why not? It's a moot point because it's 11:45 a.m., which is basically noon, so that's lunch. And the Trump administration's response to automation honestly hasn't gotten much better since, because for someone who claims that he cares so much about the American worker, he's done almost nothing to help people displaced by automation. And there is, frankly, plenty that he could be doing. One set of proposals includes funding retraining. Ideally, retraining that is directly tailored to available jobs in your area. That seems like a sensible idea, as does trying to help older workers who may end up having to take a new job with a lower salary through things like wage insurance or an expanded earned income tax credit. Now, all of that will cost money, and quite a lot of it, so Trump will probably revert to his preferred solution, blaming China, Vietnam, and other countries you've probably never even heard of. So in the meantime, we need to start preparing younger workers for the job market that they're about to enter, because the pace of technological change is now so rapid, some experts suggest that we might need to start rethinking our basic conception of a career.
The majority of people will end up having an episodic career. It's great to ask kids, for example, what do you want to be when you grow up? But one thing that might be added to that question is, what 5 things do you want to be when you grow up?
She's right about that. And that means that the girl from before who said, mermaid doctor, may need to come up with some backup plans. Partly because that job may be partially automated in the future, and partly because, let's be honest, rising ocean temperatures are going to kill all the mermaids. It's just a fact, they're going to be boiled alive. And look, I've thrown a lot of complication at you tonight, but the one thing we know for sure is automation is not going to stop. And some people are going to lose their jobs, so we should help those that do and be preparing the next generation for the possibility that they may need to be more flexible in their career plans. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be an inventor. Rock star ballerina. I want to be a musician. A nurse. A person who takes people on safari. Stenographer. A fashion designer.
So, are you worried about robots taking over certain jobs?
No.
OK, you might need to be aware of that long term. Tell you what, you name some jobs, and I will tell you whether I think a robot could do it or not, OK?
Policeman.
A robot could do that. That's literally the plot of RoboCop.
Serve food like at a diner.
No, robots could definitely do that, Zoe, sorry.
Can a robot get wet?
Yeah, robot can get wet. That's not a job, but yes, a robot can get wet.
Fireman.
Robot with a hose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A drummer.
Oh, a robot could definitely do the drums.
They'd be probably really bad at basketball.
Robots are actually incredible at basketball.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, look at this. I'm gonna Google robot drummer right now, okay?
Okay.
I just put robot D and it auto-corrected.
I'm definitely faster than him.
You're definitely faster than a robot?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, you're definitely not. Let me show you this. Lauren, do you think a robot could do my job in the future?
What is your job anyway?
So we take a big story and we try and inject it with as much nuance as we can. So we really try and get a deep dive into complicated issues. And then I present our work to the audience at the end of the week. Do you think a robot could do that?
Yep. This is really hard. Well, what can I do?
What can you do? That is actually a good question. You can do a series of non-routine tasks that require social intelligence, complex critical thinking, and creative problem solving, OK?
Okay.
OK, can you repeat that back to me? I want to do a series of non-routine tasks.
I want to do a series of non-routine tasks.
Tasks?
Tasks.
I feel like you're doing a British accent there, Zoe. That requires social intelligence.
That requires social intelligence.
Complex critical thinking.
What? Complex critical thinking.
And creative problem solving.
And creative problem solving. And creative problem solving.
That's what you got to do in the future, Zoe.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay, is that a deal? We did it!
I don't know what it means.
Okay.